let's get back. Welcome to YouTube, guys. We're going to talk about the McCulloch Super 250. People just doesn't know that this model here is the rarest one you can get from the McCulloch Super 250 is the yellow covered ones. Why the yellow covered one's got to be the rarest one? Why the yellow covered one with a gunshot pipe is the rarest one? Let me explain it. Well, Robert McCulloch want to be about 1,500 of these saws out there. There's a lot of sweat bees out here. What's up with these little yellow jackets? I want your fucking yellow jacket right there. Look at that. But like I said, they only made 1,500 of these chainsaws. Estimated about 1,500 of these are out there. That's what a lot of the old folks would say, how many saws are out there. And they know that 67 was the first year of the Super 250. Now, the Will Acre site is a little bit wrong on the years, but they don't know when was the first year they came out with the Super 250. The old guy told me, said so, that Robert McCulloch only made 1,500 of these saws out there. And that was it. The black covered ones, you see about 2,500 of those saws out there. I mean, yes, they are rare, but not as rare as the yellow covered one. And let me explain it here. This model, you can only get in Canada because McCulloch Industries was going to move their factory. They was in Southern California, but they were first born in Arizona. So Robert McCulloch first built his factory in Arizona, and he moved from 5 different places just to try to keep his industry alive, to make McCulloch's stay around for a very long time. They actually have survived the Great Depression, which was way back in the day, in the 1940s, 46 to 45, making saws that was out of hand. So about 1949 came, Robert McCulloch started making chainsaws instead of making counterparts for superchargers, for the 32 Fords, and turbos, because they know the Great Depression hit him pretty hard. So Robert McCulloch had a plan to make chainsaws instead of... Robert McCulloch was famous to making tools, supplies, and other things. But now he told everybody he wants to make chainsaws. So the 67 Super 250 was born in 1960. If you remember, the Dash 149 and the Dash 145 and the 146 and the 147 is a 1959 model in that year. And why do I want a 67 Super 250? Well, let me explain it. Why? Why this model? Why is it rare? What makes it rare? Well, it was the gunshot pipe what makes it rare. It was the fuel cap that makes it rare. It was the whole tired saw that made it kind of rare in that year. And nobody didn't want to buy these saws because people were wanting power lights even more than these saws. Let me explain it. Okay? Explain. 64 Longley right here. Let's get the old Remington power light here. Everybody got tired of buying big saws. Everybody's looking for non-heavy saws. And they were trying to make lighter and efficient chainsaws, which is this power light right here. Lighted. It's a little bit more lighter, more efficient. They were getting ready to make compact saws in this year. This is McCulloch's first ever compact saw, as they say. But it's not a compact saw, as they call it. They call it the gigantic saw, is what we call it. So, probably the word for this, you could put a 30-inch bar on this. It will run the 30-inch bar because it's 87 cc's. This right here is 65 cc's because this is the LP4. So 65 cc's right there. Actually 57 cc's actually. That's a typical homeowner saw right there. Then Pioneer in the 70s have joined in with the chainsaw industries in the 60s, start making also lighter compact saws. McCulloch didn't make a lighter compact saw. Their first lighter compact saw was the 1955 35 Super. The 35 Super. What it was. It was a kind of a compact saw, but still more heavier. Weighed a ton. Weighed about, I think, about 15 pounds. Lesser than this here. This weighs a lot more. This in here is almost 20 pounds. 18 pounds was what they recommend this saw is. It took me about maybe 4 or 3 days just to try to look for one of these saws. And it took me about 3 years to find one of these 1967. I was either looking for the 67, the more rare model, or the 1969, which is the black covered one, or the 68 when they redesigned the cover and they just had paint the Super logo on there. You know, like the automatic series where they just paint the logos on it. It's the same exact that way. They hand painted these. So those are hand painted on there. So if you see the automatic 1010, that's hand painted. Those are hand painted right there from the McCulloch factory. But you gotta understand, Powerlight was a compact saw. Then McCulloch started making compact saws and started in 1969 with the 210, the 2-1, the 10-1, and the 210. You got the 2-3, the 10-3, 10-4, 10-5, 10-6, 10-7, 10-8, 10-9, and the 10-10, which is recommended. Now in 68, it was beginning to be the last year of the yellow-covered ones, but they have changed it just a tiny bit. First off, they painted this starter cover here black instead of being all yellow. Then 68 came, they changed the exhaust pipe, so 67 was the last year of these gunshot pipes. Because after the regular 250 came out back in 62, they had the same exact gunshot pipe all the way through the 50s, so 59, 58, 57. It's around 57, actually, they first made this pipe in 57, and they kept it all the way to 1967, so where you can't get the gunshot pipe anymore. So now they make round exhaust pipes. You know, the circular ones that you guys have seen on other chainsaws. That's the ones they make, and that's the ones they use. Now, on the other Super 250s now, in 68 and 69. So they kept the round exhaust pipe right after the McCulloch Super 250 have finally ended in 1974. 74 was going to be its last year of the Super 250. So they gave it a bigger bane, made it even more rarer. Not as rare as this model right here is, though. The 74, they only made about 1,000 of those. Well, actually, no, not 1,000, I think. No, wait, hold up for a minute. Let me think real quick. I forgot what that old guy told me. Yeah, okay, now I remember it. They only made about 1,000, I think 800. It's lesser than this. But it was close to being the rarest saw. It was close to being this exact year, how rare this model is. But nope, not many people will see this model, the yellow-covered ones, that much. You can even ask the chainsaw guys yourself. They'll tell you that the yellow-covered ones are going to be more rarer than the black-covered ones. I mean, they're going to say it. And they're going to tell you they only made 1,500 of these saws. Estimated 1,500 of these in 67. Because this was the first year of the Super 250. The saw didn't gain popular until 69 to 69 to 70. That's when we got the saws officially in the U.S. and it started selling. Mostly in the Super 250s, you had a special order. That's the reason why that you couldn't get them that much back in the day. You had a special order from the factory to get it shipped to your house. Because they were from Canada. They're up on the west side of Canada. That was their other factory that they had when Robert McCulloch was up there. So, yeah, McCulloch had a big major hard time back in the day. Robert McCulloch had a big hard time trying to sell his saws. And his saws ain't doing as good as, you know, other brands like Remington, with the Powerlights, with Remington's Logmaster that they made in the 50s, and Homelight made the 58 zip. That was kind of a popular saw. And the Remington Logmasters were also a popular saw back in the early 50s. So, yeah, those two saws are very popular. Those are the most popular saws you can get. And then when the 60s came, so 65 was the first year of the Powerlights, and they ended the same exact year when they made this, when they rolled these saws off the production They wrote a lot of these off the production line, so this only lasts about a year in the market. As you see, here's an LP4 1965 model. This in here is the C model, letter C. That means it's not the first one, but it's the third one that rolled off the production line. If you can figure what kind of letters that is, and if you can figure the letters on the alphabet what Remington used to do, that's the production date of how many saws they have released out. So I say they could have released about over, who knows how many they sold of these. No one doesn't know. No one hasn't figured it out yet. And Acre Sight hasn't figured it out yet either. We all ain't gonna know yet until, eventually an old guy will come up and tell us, well, I'll tell you exactly what the exact date is on these saws and how many they made. But oh my God, I tell you what, when I first saw this saw on eBay, the motherfucker had it up almost about 500. I mean, he was trying to bring the bid up a lot. And he just couldn't sell it, so it was almost about a year now. And so he just kept lowering and lowering and lowering and lowering it price down because someone just comes and buys it. Until he lowered down to $100. That was about a couple weeks ago when he lowered down $100. So that was my time to either jump on it or leave it. But I knew how rare this model was going to be. And I knew this exact moment this guy was going to tell me this is going to be the rare model. So that's the reason why I had to get it. Because it was a rare model. And me personally, I like the yellow ones better than the black covered ones better. I don't know what it is with me, but I just like the look of the old yellow covered ones. The 67s, the first year of these. I admire the look of these saws because they changed the McCulloch logo, I think, around 69. I think 68, they changed the McCulloch logo to some type of other logo. And I hate the ones that's got the big Gurphy cap. I like when it's like flat like this, not like, round and oddly shaped like a hood cap. Is what would have put me in mind of. It's like this right here. I'll explain it here so you guys can see what the hell I'm talking about. Alright, start to cover off of this. See how round this is right here? Well, they added an extra layer to the McCullochs. I'm about to show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm going to stick this under nice and easy. So this was your extra part right here. And you can see how I don't like the round ones better. I like the flat-based ones better. It just looks more intimidating. It looks more better than the round ones. Round starter covers. I don't like them. I like the flat-based round covers. The only round one I like was the 58 zip I'm going to restore. And get that one through the wood. 64 long, but I use that one to cut grass. Had to replace the tire because it broke right off. So on that rim lawn boy, and I got 2 John Deeres. I got to work on like the 210, and the 200 just needs a belt. And I think this thing will run and drive. I am going to repaint this. I mean, I'm going to put telemarkers in the back. I am going to put LEDs in the front. I am going to get a new battery charger gauge right there. I am going to get a new choke for this. For both of these, probably. So, this one is going to need a new choke because they're stuck. 210 right here. I might get a new one of these for that. I might just take this one off here and clean that one up and probably throw it on that one, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what to do yet. But it's going to be a while before I get this 210 running again because it's going to need a carburetor, a hood. I just junked the other hood because the hood was no good, so it had putty over it, and I don't like putty over hoods. But like I said, 67 was the first year of the Super 250. And it just, people wish they had the money to buy this saw. And yeah, there's one time I regretted for buying this thing because I just saved close to be about $1,000. I was going to buy me a Cub Cadet, but I said, you know what, I can make that money back again once I sell the 126 that's down here. But like I said, 67 was the first year of the Super 250. And this is my favorite exact model. And I'm going to keep this thing a long time. I'm going to get to tell the story. The same story that guy told me on eBay. The same exact story. I said, are you sure this is fucking true? If this is the rarest saw that McCulloch has made. He says, not the rarest saw that McCulloch has made. The 440 is more rarer than this saw. They only made the 440 up to about 1 year. And the McCulloch 125 up to about 3 years. And no one didn't want to buy it because how big it was. it was about the size of the saws, and people got old and old. And as they got older, they just couldn't handle the saw and couldn't handle the recoil of these. But I'll tell you what, I am going to put a new carb kit on this. And hopefully, we get to try this thing out in the wood again. Hopefully, sometime, it should have a 30-inch bar. Or I might just go find a roller tip nose bar that's off of an old McCulloch and just throw it on it. I just haven't really decided yet. But I will decide eventually when the time comes. But like I said, 67 was the first year of the Super 250. And the guy actually had a big story on this saw, how he got it. Got off his brother. His brother telling the same exact story. This saw is gonna be worth a lot of money, and that's the reason why he asked his brother, like, what do you mean by it's gonna be a rare saw someday? He said they only made this saw about only a year. The yellow cover ones were made only about a year, 2 years, and that was it. And they just changed the starter cover. They said, and then he also said the gunshot pipes are gonna be the more rare ones, because they're going to be more harder to find. So luckily, I solved this one, and I'm lucky I got it. You know how long it took me a while to get one of these chainsaws? And I don't think none of you don't understand. Let me explain how long this took me to get this saw. It took me about fucking 5 years. 5 years. 5 years. Going 5 years trying to look for the saw. Struggling and trying to hold back on, try to save my dang money for it, and I couldn't save it because I didn't have enough time to get this saw because I got so much projects I got to work on. Like Lawn Boys, I got to get this one running. I got to get that one running. The 96 Lawn Boy, I have to get the 2004 running, the 2003 again running. Almost the last year of the Lawn Boy 2-stroke series. I got to get this thing restored. I got to get this one repainted and restored. So these two joiners can go to the tractor shows and get that handle fixed on them, because I don't like tape around that shit. I don't admire it. I got chainsaws I got to get restored, like the Mini Max 6, the Husqvarna 55 Ranch that I'm going to try to flip and sell. Get a new piston and cylinder for that. The Limited Logmaster, it's going to be very, very hard to find parts. So the 58 Zip needs to be running again. Get it restored again. The Weed Whacker, the 120 FS 120 Weed Whacker, that I'm going to try to fix and refix again, because there's something going on with this dang cover and won't tighten itself back up again. So there's so much projects, guys, that I have to do just to get prepared for working all of this stuff up this week. I mean, I got so much stuff. I got so much time on my hands. I got to take his tires off, get new tires for the 210, because the 210 tires are completely dry rotted and they will not hold air. I got to get the mower deck fixed on that one. I got to sell the snow blade steel. I'm trying to sell it for about $150 because that's what they're going for. After someone put a new edge on the bottom of that. There's so much projects I got to do. I got to finish. Hopefully, if I do sell the 126 right here, the 69 right here, hopefully if I do sell it, hopefully I don't have to work on this thing anymore. And I got, this one's going up for sale. This one's up for sale right now. I got to fix the headlight lens cover. The 1650 runs, just fixed the hydro, because it kept the linking. It's probably still linking on a tiny bit, but not as bad. I know. It doesn't look like there's seriously bad drips on it now. And same with this one right here. The Sears just needs a solenoid, and I'm going to go get this one up for sale, the 10XL. My 8-speed manual. The Honda's going to need tires. There's like so much projects I got to do. Like I got to get new front tires, back tires for the Honda. TRX 700 right here. There's so much shit I got to do. They ain't funny. There's so many projects that I have on the list I gotta do to just get running, to get firing back up again. And I'm not joking this time. I got so many freaking projects, it ain't even funny. And I wish my camera can focus on my hat. It just makes my hat look like this, and it makes it look all weird. I don't know what's going on with my camera right here. Gotta figure out what's going on with that. Still haven't figured that out yet. There's so much hard work I gotta do. It ain't fun. I mow grass every dang time. I cut grass, and, you know, I do make time. So I gotta go get a carb kit for this thing now. This thing should be good to go after it gets a new carb kit. Hopefully it's good to go. Because I want to see this thing running and cutting. So I'm going to take us out to the woods where my dad needs some help in the summer cutting firewood. So I'm going to use this saw. Use it a few times and just make her a good collector saw after that. And you know what I do with my saws? I take care of them. I take a rag and always wipe all the sawdust off of them. Or just clean it all the way up with the water. Don't use a water hose because you just ruin the paint. Just take a rag. Don't wet the rag either. Just make sure it's a dry rag and just wipe all the stuff off of it. That's all you can really do. I mean, you don't want to ruin the old school paint on this. That's hand painted right there from the McCulloch factory. But yes, this is a rare model. In that year. 67 was the first year of the Super 250. When Robert McCulloch have decided just to make a Super 250. Because they know that the regular McCullochs to go through the wood, and it's not making enough power. So this is why this saw came in the help of it. Came through the help. And they made the big show right here. This was the big gun right here. The Super 250 was the big gun. 87 Super 250s. You know what else they did to these saws when they first made these saws? They jackknifed the clutch so this saw and the chain will move faster instead of gear drive. Everybody hated gear drive saws. Let me tell you why. I'll give you a good example why a lot of people hated gear drive chainsaws. One thing is the gears will always slip out of them. And that's the reason I don't like gear drive saws. I like these type of saws are not gear drive. So this is not a gear drive saw, which is a good thing. They're all not gear drive. Most of them are all not gear drive. They're just all powered by your piston. Powered by your crank. This right here runs off your crank. That runs off your crank. All the saws I got runs off the crank. So the 58 Zims run off the crank. That runs off the crank. That runs off the crank. That runs off the crank. That one right there runs off the crank. These all run off the crank. Because gear drives, what they do, if you, if you have in a wood a little bit and you just, you're just putting a lot more pressure on the chain, the more to your back, and you're just putting a lot of pressure on it, and you're just holding it down really hard, and you're just slamming into shit with it. That's the reason why the gear drive is not very, very good. I mean, it is a good scenario by cutting like little logs or cutting little trees, but don't be forcing the damn thing down in the wood. Gear drives can't handle down force. And you gotta let it drive itself. Now, non-gear drive saws, you can put a lot of force into it, it wouldn't hurt it. But you will break the piston if you ain't too careful, though, so you gotta be careful what you're doing first. This ain't 404 chain, but I'm gonna get some 404 chain. I'm just throw this bar on her just for looks right now until I get a 30-inch bar, or just go find a roller tip nose bar for this thing, because I am gonna throw a roller tip nose bar on it to make it even look more impressive, and you clean all the stuff off of it. It's got like oil. The oiler works, which is great. So I don't know if people's gonna get jealous of this saw. It takes the right kind of people to just want to be jealous of what other people's got, and it's a stated fact. Everybody is gonna get jealous of something. You can't stop jealousy. So. They know it's a rare model. They know they want to get in their hands, but they can't pry it off somebody's hands. And if you're gonna find one of these saws, I'm gonna tell you right now, you're gonna have better luck just to find a 67. A 68 or a 69 than more than a 67. There's not very many 67s out there. Only 1,500 of these out there. And I'll say there's a lot of collectors that have these saws right now. I don't think there ain't very much left to pick up right now. So far, I haven't seen any McCulloch Super 250s now on eBay. I've seen 2 regular McCulloch 250s. No more Super 250s on there. People are going nuts over this saw. Well, there's one thing. There's another chainsaw guy that's making these chainsaws pretty famous too. Making the Super 250 pretty famous too. That's probably me. And you guys probably have seen my TikTok videos called Hot Rod Timberman. That's my other account on my TikTok. I told you the stories about this saw. I told you how rare this model is before. And I wouldn't believe I was going to get a rare model. I wouldn't think I was going to get a 67 though. The rarest one you can get. I didn't know I was going to get this model. I didn't know I was going to even buy this model. I thought it was just, my dad's going to say no to it. Because my dad had to put money in his own, well, I have my own account, but I can't really put money into it. So, you know what? I gave my dad almost probably 150 for this saw. Maybe 170, I think. 75, I think. Because this saw came from all the way from the west coast of Canada. I might be saying the west wrong from Canada, but I got this saw from Clearwood, Canada. Or what I meant to say, North Canada. It's up towards north of Canada. Is where I got this saw. It was up north. And you people won't believe me, this is a rare model. Let me explain a little bit more how rare this saw is going to be in the future. It's going to be the rarest saw. Someday, but not as right now. I don't think it's not the right time for the stuff to be rare yet. Not really, really rare yet. But I'm going to try to hold this saw. I'm going to try to keep it in good shape. I'm going to try to keep it in good hands. I wanted this saw for 5 years. This was my dream chainsaw. And I always told myself I want to throw a dream bar on this chainsaw, which is the 30-inch bar I always wished for on this chainsaw, or 28-inch. That's what I was thinking, or 29. I wrote a list a long time ago. It was about 15. Actually, 17. I was going to turn 17. I was still in high school, and I told everybody, my friends and parents, said, I'm still trying to find this saw, and this saw here is giving me a pain in the ass just to try to find. This was a pain in the ass to find, I'll tell you that. You're not going to see a 67 that much on Facebook or eBay. You have a better luck chance to find. You're better off just finding a 69 or 70 model Super 250. You can find those things most of the time out in the west coast of. I mean, if you got to drive far to get one, if you think it's stupid, that's not my problem. Drive far to get one, because you're not going to see another Super 250 around. That's how I was. So I'm glad to have this saw. I'm glad to have this big, girthy, heavy thing. I'm glad it's in my collection. Definitely not going to hot rod this thing. It's this right here. This already came from hot rodded from factory. There's no screen in this. Listen here. There is no screen inside this. It's just all muffler. It's all what you're hearing. A loud muffler is what you're hearing. Robin McCulloch thought this would reduce the sound, which is, it actually kind of did, and help reduce the spark. That's the reason why Robert McCulloch made the gunshot pipe. Because people love hot rodded things way back in the day. People love hot rodding their own cars back in the day. So that's when Robert McCulloch said, you know what? I think we should make a hot rod saw next. Now, watching this saw, I'll tell you what else is more rare. The 440. The 444. Super rare to find. I found only one last year, and that was it. Never seen a 440 ever again. That was the only one time that I actually have saw it. That was on Facebook Marketplace. The selling bitch was in Illinois. It was sold the next day. It's probably the most highest value chainsaw out there. And very, very hard to find out there. But if I were you, I wouldn't waste your time trying to find one of these. The 67s are pretty hard to find with the yellow covered. This is only a Canadian model, so you can only get this model specifically in Canada. And after Robert McCulloch was moved from the U.S. This thing was very, very hard to track down and hard to find. I'll tell you what you see more is in the West Coast here. In the east, half of the East Coast. Black covered ones. You see more black covered ones than yellow covered ones. That's the reason I'm going to say that now. I mean, the black covered ones are kind of rare too, but not as rare as the yellow covered one right here. Not as rare as this one. One time, this thing, the chain looks like came back and hit this thing one time. That's what the chain did that. These are cast iron built saws. Cast iron tank, cast steel tank. But like I said, guys. You know when I put a hated comment on something else's Super 350 once, you know what it did? It didn't get me nowhere. Let me explain why it didn't get me nowhere. Try to find this saw. Oh, it just made it harder to look for, I just tell you that. You gotta be nice to the old collectors out there. Because they put their hard-earned money to try to find these saws. And give you the facts about them. It give you the great juices. It give you the great stories behind these saws. Yes, they made over millions of Super 250s, but the rarest one's a 67. Just due to the fuel cap. You know how you identify this? If this is a 67 fuel cap, and the last year of the gunshot pipe. You gotta at least tell the old guy this is the last year of the gunshot pipe, right? You're gonna say, this is the last year of the style fuel cap, right? From 67. If he says right, yep, you're right. You're correct. And the full wrap bar was optional. You can actually get in the half bar, but you won't see fully wrapped bars that much. You see more half bars than fully wrapped bars. So the rest of the 67s and 67 is going to have the full wrap bar on it. And 68, it was optional that you can get a half wrap or full wrap chainsaw. Whatever you prefer, and whatever you want. That was back in 68. So you can get this either a half bar or a full wrap bar. So it was optional. So, yep. That's when they start releasing those saws in the U.S. and start giving us the half bar ones while we gotta look for the full wrap bars. The 67 is gonna go right here in my collection for the rest of its life. I am going to run the saw every year, every month, so you guys will see more videos of this thing than the rest of the other saws I got to restore, so I got to get these refixed first before I do a video on all of these. A lot of money to rack up this year. There's going to be a lot of time, a lot of money to rack up and stuff. Power light, I got its bar. Came with a roller nose bar from factory. And it says Remington Power Light right on it. Well, it just says Remington on it, but it don't say Power Light on it. The old Power Light's going to sit there. One of my Lawn Boy guys that bought my 84 Lawn Boy is going to help me find a Partner 100 and a Pioneer P65, hopefully. If you don't, that's fine. I can wait all day. Find one. I'm going to try to track myself down a last garden tractor I'm probably going to buy. So the last garden tractor I'm going to buy, so I can sell my 126. I'm try to get me a 982D Cub Cadet or the 782D or the 682D, which is, you see less of the 682Ds than the 782Ds. Lesser, I'm working. So hopefully this 126 here will fire right back up. Battery's dead. Hard to believe that. Battery charger's not working again. And the battery charger definitely doesn't work then. It's alright. Is he moving? But like I said, guys, hopefully I can get rid of this one and get rid of the Sears up there. Try to sell that one for $400 up there to Sears. I'm trying to sell this one here for $250 cash.